The only kind of yeast I use is what has saved me from bread bricks. This is not called safe yeast, even though I thought that's what it was, but it's called SAF, and it's the name of the company. It's like La Safiere or something around there. Anyway, but your yeast is only as good as how you store it. And this is coming in a vacuum packed brick. This is the only brick you want to have in bread baking, is the brick that comes from being vacuum packed. But once you open this up, it just like could go all over the place if you're not ready. So I always have a container ready to put it in, and I only use airtight containers. And I only keep these in the fridge or the freezer. Don't store it in your cupboard once you open it up. Until you open it up, that is fine. So I have this airtight container, and I've got a couple I wanted to show you because I want to use the least amount of space, because your real estate and your refrigerator and your freezer is at a premium, right? So back in February of 2025, and I'm recording this in August of 2025, I poured the yeast that was in a package like that in this container. And I thought this would be a good size. See, I can fit it right in there. So I thought this is a good size. And now here it is in August, and it's almost gone. Now, I do a lot of bread classes, so of course I'm going to use more than you probably use. But what I put on here is I put the date that I opened the container, but then I put what the expiration date was on the package. And I believe I bought this yeast about the same time. So on the back of the SAF yeast, it will have the date it was made, so 3/24, and then the best by date, 3/26. So it was the same thing right there, 3/26. Again, I'm going to use this up well before March of 2026, but maybe what if I didn't? I know a lot of people will say, oh, I still use my yeast even if it's been in the freezer for 20 years. I'm not that brave, but try it out if you want to. I would rather make sure that I'm keeping it in an airtight container. I'm freezing it, not keep it in the cupboard. And I'm notating when it was open, because when it's vacuum packed, it's sealed in there really well, and the expiration date. So I keep this in my fridge or my freezer. I usually just do my fridge because I use it a lot. But I put it in the back of my fridge. I used to put it in the door of my refrigerator, but then every time you open the door, then it exposes the container to air. Not that it's going to be that much, but hey, I also keep it in the back because I don't use it every day, and remember that real estate is pretty prime. Now, I just recently had a little bit in here. In fact, I just baked a batch of bread where I used 3 tablespoons. And by the way, I always increase my yeast from what the recipe says, and I share that with you in my Bread Digest, Breadinar. Anyway, I knew I was getting low in yeast, so I went ahead about a week ago and I opened up a package of yeast, and I found the container. It's kind of the sister to this container. By the way, these are real Tupperware containers. I've used Tupperware for 40 some years, and if it breaks, I get it replaced. My food stays safe, and it doesn't have that BPA or whatever the bad stuff is that you get at the dollar stores or even at Target. They're just not, the walls of the containers are just not good. Anyway, I can hook you up with somebody to get that. So anyway, I found that this container, you can tell they're, as I said, sisters. They have the same type of seals, which, by the way, I love these seals because, look, you just press down on it. You can use your hand. Look, was that simple or what? So I'm thinking this is kind of like a Tupperware for seniors. Like me, I'm over 60, but look how easy it is to open it up. So you've got only one hand when you're baking, or you got a baby on your hip. That's real simple. And then you just close it up as well. So I found this size. It's just a little bit smaller. So again, I want to save on my real estate. And these are, they're less than $10 for these airtight containers. So anyway, here's the point of this. I did not take this leftover yeast. I'm not going to pour it into this container. You know, there's a thing in the Bible about you don't put new wine in old bottles. I don't know. But you don't put old yeast in with the new, or anything for that fact. I don't do that with my flour. I don't do that with my sugar. I don't do it with any of my ingredients. I keep fresh as fresh. This is going to be used first. It's kind of like the first in, first out, if you are into marketing, FIFO, first in, first out. And so I will probably just throw this out. There's just a little bit, not even a tablespoon, and I usually use at least a tablespoon. I don't know, maybe I'll make some more bread tomorrow and I'll use that up first, because I hate to throw things out, okay? Let's be honest, I just hate it. But what I did is I made this other container. So in my fridge the last few weeks, I've had 2 containers. That way, if I wouldn't have had enough yeast when I was making my 5 loaves of bread just within the last half an hour, then I wouldn't have had to gone, oh, where's my container of yeast? And I've got to open it up, and, I just love to be prepared. So I have it all tucked in here. I open this up the 1st of August. It'll be probably done by February. I use about 2 a year. And I also always keep one of these on my shelf that's unopened. Now that's because I bake a lot of bread. If you're doing a micro bakery, you'll want to do that. And by the way, you can learn how to bake bread, and that can be such a great income generator. I've thought about doing it, but I have more fun teaching classes, and I just love the teaching. So, and I love to give away my bread. So I've got 5 loaves in my oven right now that I'm ready to give away today, because people love bread. Anyway, back to yeast. So make sure you don't mix your yeast, that you keep it in an airtight container, put it in your refrigerator or your freezer. I did have a lady come to my store one day, and she had just moved to our city, which was in Illinois on the Mississippi River, a city called Nauvoo, and she was there on a church mission, and she brought her yeast across the country from Seattle, didn't keep it, you'd have to keep it refrigerated. She couldn't just put it in a cooler. They took them like 3 days to get to Nauvoo. Anyway, she made bread and it failed. And she's like, what's wrong? I could tell her in a heartbeat. So anyway, also you do not have to proof this yeast. I never proof my yeast. And if you want more information on that, remember, we have a breadinar called Bread Digest, and it goes in depth on a lot of these things. But make sure you take care of your yeast, because this is the base of good bread. That's why I no longer make bread bricks, because I learned how to use the SAF instant yeast. So easy, and you've got great results.